We will be going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It's currently 8 a.m. like usual. The temperature outside is 49 degrees out. A little slight wind chill. It's cloudy. Looks like it could rain any minute. Despite the fact the news says it's not supposed to rain, it just does look like it's going to start pouring any second now. So maybe bring a light jacket that's somewhat rain resistant, just on the off chance it does start to, the sky starts to open up here in a little bit. So, but we have a high of 68 degrees today, and then the next 2 days we are expected to have some rain. So definitely bring jackets next week. But it's supposed to be warmer. So it's going to be like tomorrow's going to be a low of 55 and a high of 72, but with a 70% chance of rain. And the day after is going to be a little colder with low of 45 and a high of 64 on Friday, but only a 55% chance of rain. So keep that in mind as you plan the rest of your week out. The next 2 days are slated for rain, and today it looks like it could. So with that being said, traffic conditions are pretty slow right now, actually. So I'm guessing that, again, always with 76th Street, that on-ramp always just brings it to a crawl right over there on that bridge. So, and it looks like it's slowly starting to jam up again as we speak right now. So
It was jammed up this morning.
oh,
too,
yeah, it
when
was
we drove
jammed up
in.
like 5 minutes ago for sure. But it looks like it cleared up a little bit, but now it's starting to slow down again right there at 76th Street entrance ramp. So be advised. Your commute could be slightly challenging if you are planning on going 169 into Tulsa today. So maybe reroute to 75. Now, with that being said, local news events are still going to be all the same. I believe the Drip Bar is still having their grand opening on Thursday.
That's correct.
And that's going to be from 2 p.m. to 2:30. And then you have the Home and Garden Show all weekend, as well as the Owasso High School Theater presents Little Shop of Horrors.
That's correct. That is correct. And that's really all we have.
So that's your local news events going on. Obviously, yesterday was Super Tuesday, so I hope everyone went out and voted in your primaries. Hopefully you voted for your candidate and you didn't do what a lot of the other folks are doing in other states, and you go vote for another candidate so you can try to primary a different candidate for a political party you don't even care about. So that's what's interesting, is a lot of states are able to do that anybody can vote in the Republican primary. Even if you're a Democrat, you can go over there and be like, well, we all hate Donald Trump, so we're going to vote Nikki Haley and see if we can't try to crush those. And again, that it hasn't worked so far. So Trump officially sweeps Nikki Haley in the Super Tuesday, so he is the nominee. And I don't know. It's like Nikki Haley sticking around for the chance that they're able to somehow
Arrest
Donald Trump, or somehow get him kicked off the ballot, or find some type of discrepancy to where he can no longer be the front runner in the election. So that's what she's doing. She's just kind of like what's a good word? She's just a vulture, kind of just circling around, just waiting. She's like, oh, I'm the last person here. You have to pick me now. Now, with that being said, Trump did just sweep her. She was soundly beaten there. I mean, she was beating her home state. Candidates don't lose their home states. She did. The only place she won is D.C., and that actually strengthens
the case that she's a part of the swamp.
Yes, it strengthens the case that she's part of the establishment. So the fact that if you think Trump's a bought and paid for shill, it's clearly not D.C. that's paying for him. So again, D.C. is the only place where Nikki Haley won. And again, there was a pool of, there were 600 votes for Trump in D.C. and 1,000 votes for Nikki Haley. So that's not a very large pool of people who actually voted for the Republicans. That's why the Republicans don't want D.C. to become the 51st state or its own electoral area. It's guaranteed Democrat votes. You're going to get 2 extra Senate seats for Democrats. You're going to get a guaranteed however. And D.C. is a big district. There's a large population of people there. So they'll get however many congressional seats as well. So it's just something that the Republicans don't want to have to deal with because they know there's no chance in heck because everybody there is a government worker. They all have government jobs. And what do we want Republicans to do? We want them to cut back on government spending. We want them to cut back on government positions. We want them to kill the permanent bureaucracy that is sitting there. The people that get these cushy jobs that get paid over $100,000 a year to basically do nothing. Like this is what we call the deep state. When people are talking about the deep state, they're talking about these unelected officials who become permanent beneficiaries of government positions that know how their position works and also can stonewall the people we vote into office with these positions they're put into, that they have permanent. I mean, they'll be there until they die.
Yep. Any position that can make huge major decisions that's unelected is what
the
what
ATF,
we call the swamp.
Yeah, the ATF, the CIA, the FBI. These are people who are, we don't elect people to go there. These are people who are appointed to go there, and they just they live there, they do that job, and they get paid a lot to do that job, and God knows what other benefits and perks they get from people who are trying to buy them and levy for power. So just keep that in mind, folks. Like, that's what we're talking about when we talk about the deep state. These unelected bureaucratic officials who get to just live in these cushy 100K plus year jobs and get to decide what you and I get to do with our lives. That's the deep state. That's what they're talking about when we're talking about the deep state, the swamp. The swamp's not just your congressmen. It's not just your senators. It's not just the president. It's everything. It's the entire bureaucracy that holds up that establishment. And like I said, the shills are the elected officials. They're the ones that sit there and are the ones that get talked about in the news, and they go, they're failing. But it's not them that are making decisions and pulling the strings. It's the people in these positions that, this is why, like I said, if somebody came in and said, yeah, we're just going to cut 80% of government spending, and we're going to cut back on 80% of a government positions, and we're just going to shut down. Like, it's like when Donald Trump said, it's like whenever he was in the presidency, he was like, hey, what happens if I take away 80% of your spending? Everybody's like, start looking at people you can fire, start looking at where your excess cost is going. That's a smart way to run a business. That's the way it should be run. Because there's a lot of people in government positions that are just getting paid to do nothing. Or they're getting paid to be shadow, the puppet pullers or the puppet string pullers, pulling the strings behind the scenes. So with that being said, I kind of went in a direction I wasn't expecting it to go. So with that being said, in other news, we're talking a little bit more culture now, talking about movies and games,
television.
So there was a controversy going around with, I guess there was a new video game called The Suicide Squad, trying to cap on that Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn, all that jazz, and it's just failed. Like, this game it's a AAA game title that nobody's playing. No, people are trying to get refunds on because the gameplay's so bad.
Well, PlayStation is giving refunds on it.
Oh, wow, that's impressive. I'm surprised PlayStation's doing that. But with that being said, so the story's terrible. They unceremoniously kill, like, the Justice League.
Well, except for Wonder Woman.
Yeah, so I don't know, folks. Like, just so this company called Sweet Baby Inc. It's like a feminist propaganda kind of DEI, equity, inclusion kind of. I don't know. They come in and they basically tell you that your story's sexist, you're racist, and you're not doing enough with women characters and characters of color. And then they change the story. And then they change the gameplay, and they go, this is what people want. And apparently it's not what people want, because the game is tanking.
And someone made a list of all the games that they've worked on, and it's shown that
they're the ones that they've brought every title they've worked with down.
Every title that they've worked on has failed or had some type of controversy surrounding it.
Yeah, this is the modern day Anita Sarkeesian. Like, she was feminist frequency is what she was. She was the controversial girl that kind of kicked off Gamergate and what Gamergate became. So with that being said, basically the summary of this is DEI, equity, inclusion, and feminism kind of ruins everything it touches. Because that game could have been great.
Yeah.
You could have done a really cool way to kill the Justice League, but they chose to make everything lame.
Yeah.
It's like what South Park says, put a chick in it and make her lame and gay.
Well, even coming back to that, it's really the fact that it's the DEI and bringing in like feminist like ideology. It's bringing in people who aren't qualified to work on something that are being put in charge.
Yes.
And the whole thing is how we've always been as a country is the best person gets the job, and that's how we've succeeded. Well, if you're hiring someone because they're a certain race, gender, whatever, obviously they can be qualified, but it does not mean that they're the best
most
qualified.
or they're the best storyteller.
Exactly. And they're basically holding these companies hostages, is like with the whole Sweet Baby Inc. or whatever it's called and feminist frequency and
Yeah,
stuff
if
like
you're
when
not
they were
willing to
coming
work
in-
with us, then we're going to
Exactly.
tell people that
Hey,
you're not a very inclusive
that's
company.
a real nice video game you have there. It'd
Be
be a
ashamed
shame
if somebody-
it'd be a shame if a group of people just randomly came in and said, "Hey, you guys are racist and sexist," and that's really what it is. That's what this company is. It's like
It's the mafia.
yes, it's the mafia. It's like if you would like your game to be successful and not be hate mobbed, why don't you pay us a little sum of money to come in and we'll look at your
And tell you
development
where
and
you
your
can
script
improve.
and all that. And that's exactly. I mean, coming back to with film, what we were talking about earlier between you and me earlier was the Oscars. You have to have a certain quota of people working on your movie before they'll even consider it to be nominated for an Oscar now.
Absolutely. When we were filling out, me and Chad have actually made a feature-length film, and we submitted it to all kinds of film festivals. Now, I will say this: we didn't have the strongest story film, but it was a well-structured film. And our biggest thing about our film was that we had audio issues with it. Like we didn't have a sound designer, nor did we really understand the fullness of sound production or sound design in a film. We just kind of were swinging at the dark. We were young filmmakers just wanting to do it. And like I said, for the most part, I'm pretty relatively proud of the end product, but I would say the weakest part of it is the sound and audio. And if we didn't get it accepted into film festivals, that's why. But while we were signing up, they would always ask these questions like, hey, are you a person of color? Are you a gay, lesbian, minority person? I'm just like, why is this relevant? It should just be about my film. And if my film is good enough to stand on its own, like you could just, you should be able to just submit your film blind and no one would know. It's like, it's just your name and your film, and the film and the strength of your film stands alone. But they're asking you all these questions. You know, it's like, are you a Native American? Are you this? Are you that? What's your sexuality? I'm like, why are we filling this out? This is more intrusive than like the signing up for the army. It's like, they didn't ask me those questions. They were just like, take your shirt off and we're going to measure your body fat and do this or that. It's like, okay, cool. I kind of figured that was going to happen. But with submitting a film into a film festival, why are you asking me these questions? And again, what's the last great movie you saw? The last one I saw was Godzilla -1. That was a really good film that I saw in theaters. It was the last movie I was legitimately excited for. I can't even tell you the last time I was excited for a movie. Definitely not the recent Marvel films that have come out. Gosh, they've all been terrible. Like, what's the last movie that anyone was really, really excited about? Like, they were just
If
like,
I
I
had to
can't
say
wait.
like a cultural, like iconic movie, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick was the last real Hollywood
That's how long ago
blockbuster.
was that? That came out like 2 or 3 years ago now, and there's nothing that anybody's getting super pumped for anymore.
No,
that I
not
can
at all.
think of.
There's not that. Like, I mean, Disney tried it with Star Wars, but I mean, they've basically run Star Wars into. They've basically run Star Wars into the ground. I can't even get motivated to watch The Mandalorian Season 3, and I liked the first 2 seasons. I mean, it's just all so bad. The writing's so terrible.
Yep. Well, it comes back to they made a good choice, like I said, him getting rid of, the little baby Yoda in the end of season 2, which was a great decision. And then they're just like, well, wait, that means that if we leave him in Luke's custody, that means he dies in the later movies. So marketed ability and not killing off characters that we can make huge money off of. Let's not do that.
Yeah, exactly. It's again, it's why you don't plan a trilogy, a sequel trilogy, without a unified plan, and you don't just start. I mean, The Mandalorian was the best thing they put out because Favreau had an idea of what he wanted the show to be, and he was the single show creator behind it all. And then you have all these other directors. You have J.J. Abrams, who put out his mystery box theory, which, gosh, that was garbage. Like, the first, like, Star Wars Force Awakens doesn't even hold up anymore. Like, you watch it and you're just like, ugh.
Well,
It's
the only
so
reason
boring.
it doesn't hold up is because it's literally a recap of the
Yeah,
first
but
movie.
it has zero rewatchability. Like, I mean, how do you know a movie's good if it has rewatchability? Every time Jurassic Park comes on, man, I watch it in Jurassic Park. Every time the original Star Wars trilogy comes on, I can watch that. Hell, I can even watch the prequels. Now, no, number 2 drags in the middle. You're like, ugh, can we just get to the Attack of the Clones part? But it's just so slow. It's like Disney stuff. It's just so bad. Like, I don't know what they're thinking or doing in the design, but like, again, this is why DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, feminist propaganda, it all ruins everything it touches. Again, the last movie you were excited for, what was it?
And that wasn't a disappointment.
That wasn't, yeah.
Or that you're like, I could watch that 100 times and still, be happy with it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, I would go back and watch Godzilla -1 in the theaters right now. That's how good I thought it was. It kind of reminded me of the original one back in the day when I remember the scary poster art as a little kid. It's like, you're like, oh, this is scary. And you watch it in black and white, and like, you're like, as a kid, you're like, this is traumatizing. Like, this is scary. This giant monster is destroying the city. And but yeah, no, I was like, I watched that and I was like, wow, this kind of gives vibes of the original one, and it kind of has a poignant message. Again, like the American Godzilla films, like, they're all spectacle. It's all monsters punch each other in the face. Cool. I mean, that's fine. Kids love it. But my nephew, who's like 8, he went to go see Godzilla -1. He liked it. He thought it was awesome. It's like, so that kids like substance too. Like, that's the story is there. The outlines of something great is there. So substance matters a lot. You definitely want to have some style, but just the Hollywood system, it's like the AAA gaming system. They're just crapping out. So this is what people want. It's like, but you have no substance. There's nothing there that like resonates with you. You're like, oh, okay, cool. Giant monsters punch each other, or Harley Quinn and the Suicide Squad kills all the Justice League. It's like, okay, and they didn't do it in a way that was profound or it didn't resonate with you. That's why the original Star Wars, it works so well. It resonates. There's got to be something that resonates. You got to get it in the feels. It's got to hit your soul. So, with that being said, that's really all we got for today. We stretched it a little longer than I thought we would be able to today, but not a kind of a slow news week, just the Super Tuesday and the fall of modern Hollywood and AAA gaming.
Yep. And the only other thing I was just going to bring up real quick is the Lori Fulbright speech is at Faith Lutheran Church on the 7th at 1 p.m. And the only other thing we missed on the Owasso chamber side was the Owasso monthly meeting is today at 12, and Coach Blankenship will be speaking at it.
Okay, very cool.
And that's the only other things I think we missed on the calendar events for today anyway, unless anyone else out there knows something that we missed and that we're not aware of, that you can always let us know in the comments or let us know on our page. We'll be happy to get that information out there on the next show.
Absolutely. Well, that's all we've got for you today. I hope everyone has a wonderful day. This is the Twins with the Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. God bless everyone. Have a great day out there.